following is a production of Cary TV, the Town of Cary's government access channel.
Call to order the September 20th meeting of the Cary Town Council. And at this time, I would like to recognize my colleague Jennifer Robinson for our ceremonial opening.
Thank you so much. So on September 5th, a person who was very influential in our community passed away. Dick Ladd contributed a lot to our community. In his younger years, he served on the town council. He was president of our chamber. And he was a key person in getting our economic development policy off the ground that has been so successful and has led the way for the town and the chamber to work cooperatively together. He also was instrumental in projects like the Veterans Freedom Park and many other initiatives. The Cary Visual Arts was a passion of his. And in addition to doing all of that, he also was one of the people who got the YMCA, the Cary Family YMCA, off the ground. And that was a true passion of his. So it's really sad for us to lose Dick, and I just wanted to have all of us take a moment of silence in memory of Dick and also in comfort for his family. Please join me. Thank you. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is to adopt the agenda. I would entertain a motion to do so.
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
And a second. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We move to recognitions, reports, and presentations. And in our audience tonight, we have special guests. We have Cub Scout Pack 200 from United Methodist Church that are visiting us. They're working on their activity badges related to government and communication. And at this time, I would ask that Pack 200 stand and be recognized. Thank you for being here this evening. We now move to the Public Speaks Out portion of our meeting. For Public Speaks Out, we have included instructions for speaking on the forum on your printed agenda. And if you'd like to speak at Public Speaks Out, I would ask that you take a seat in the rows to my right that are shown as reserved and follow the instructions on the agenda. Public Speaks Out speakers have 3 minutes each for their comments, and speakers may speak on any topic as long as it's not a public hearing, and we do have public hearings this evening. There's a 3-minute time limit, as I said, and to be fair to all of our speakers, I will enforce the time limit. There's a timer located on the podium, and when the green light turns yellow, that means you have 30 seconds remaining. And when the yellow light turns to a flashing red light, I will immediately ask you to conclude your comments by interrupting you. I'm not trying to be rude, just trying to be fair. And I thank all of our speakers in advance for adhering to our 3-minute time limit. We also ask that if you're here with a group and you're a spokesperson, please speak on their behalf and to help us reduce repetitive comments. I thank everyone in our audience this evening for respecting that this is a business meeting. Please do not applaud, make remarks from your seats, or anything else that may distract from the meeting. So now's the time for Public Speaks Out, and I would invite our first speaker forward. Could I get you to move to your left? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Fulbright, 214 Old Dock Trail, Cary, North Carolina. Here, speak a rare thing, a note of appreciation to everybody on the council and to all the staff and to the proponent of item 4.5 on there. You heard many people from the neighborhood of Park Village in here a couple months ago, and it's just, I look at this like you see reviews on the internet. You hardly ever see good ones. So I wanted to make sure we came back and expressed our appreciation to everyone for listening to what we had to say. And it appeared to us that everybody was already thinking the same thing because certain changes were made, and we're very happy with everything. So again, thank you all very much. And thanks to everybody on the staff and to the proponents.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Dan Gearson, 401 Thornton Grant Lane, Cary, North Carolina. And to the Cub Scouts up there, I'm an Eagle Scout. You'll get there. Keep up the hard work. I'm representing the Phillips Place Homeowners Association, and I wanted to inquire and also bring up some concerns that we have as residents. Approved recently this past summer, although it appears though it was done in closed session, were 106 townhomes to extend into Phillips Place. This is actually represented by Mrs. Robinson's district area. As far as the preliminary roadway construction, it appears as though there's no secondary roadway construction on the docket, nor one approved, and a lot of this had to do with the McCrimmon extension. There was some discussion in the past about getting KB Homes, and it's now Lennar who owns that property, in order to help pay for this and the bridgeway over the CX railway. Big concern is this is an extremely narrow road. It looks as though Lennar is only going to be paying $400,000 for future road construction. Again, none of it, from what we understand, is approved at this time. KB came in with just 98 homes in the initial construction, the phase 1 construction. That is on purpose because of the 100-home limit for having dual access, not just for emergency roadway construction, which I know there's been talk, and I know you guys are probably pretty familiar by the nods I'm getting with this construction here in the phase of development, but for safety for our children. And it appears as though that's not taking place. That has us gravely concerned. We have already now 200 cars going up and down that roadway every single day, not counting FedEx, UPS, other construction, tradesmen, things of that nature. This is going to take it over 400 vehicles through a single roadway. There's no way for the bus to make a U-turn or come around. So school bus is going to be a large parking lot up at the end of Lewis Stevens and River Pine Drive. Appears as though there's also going to be no increased roadway construction for the three-way stop at McCrimmon and Lewis Stevens implemented in this plan. Really, we feel as though the ball's been dropped. We came here, we purchased our homes, wanting a safe environment for our children. We're safe to have them playing. We're scared to have them play in the streets. We are gravely concerned about this. If we're wrong, please tell us. But from what we see, there's no plans now or in the future anytime soon to eliminate this traffic. Every single bit of construction, moving of dirt, trees, tradesmen, selling of the homes, balloons going up, and signage in order to get us to sell these townhomes is all going to be coming through this street. You put two cars, one on either side, you can't even get through in the middle. I don't know if any of you have been on this street. It's extremely narrow.
Sorry, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please. Anyone else for Public Speaks Out? Seeing no one, we'll close Public Speaks Out and move to item 4, which is our consent agenda. For the benefit of people watching our meeting on TV, I'm going to take a moment to review our consent agenda items. Please keep in mind that one vote approves all of these items on the consent agenda. We have minutes. Ratification of resolution for Home Trust Bank at Bradford site plan. Ratification of resolution for Parkside Town Commons Phase 2C site plan. Pulakanhandam property rezoning 16 REZ 10 and associated consistency statement. Town of Cary annexation 16A12. Gary J. Markham trustee GJM 401K trust annexation 16A14. Ashton Raleigh Residential LLC, Taylor Morrison of Carolinas Incorporated, annexation 16A16. Consideration of updated policy statement 172, public comment for proposed transit. Fare and service changes and policy statement 173, fixed route service standards. Fiscal year 16 transportation development fee agreement update and annual reimbursements. Consideration of conveyance of town-owned right-of-way to North Carolina Department of Transportation. Consideration of bid award for the York Interceptor Replacement and Sewer Interconnections projects. Would council members like any of these items pulled for discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
And a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to public hearings. Same rules apply for public hearings that apply for public speaks out, with one exception. Instead of 3 minutes, you now have 5 minutes to make your comments. Our first public hearing this evening is Walters Property Rezoning 16 REZ 21. Ms. Dry will introduce the item. Council will not take action on this item tonight. It will be referred to the Planning and Zoning Board for their recommendation, and the item will return to a future council meeting for action. Ms. Dry.
Good evening, Council. For your consideration is a request to rezone approximately 1.14 acres from Wake County Residential 30 to Residential 8 conditional use. The subject property is located at 8204 Newcomb Street. The site is located east of the Park at Langston subdivision. That subdivision is just to the west of the property. It's located south of the new Wheeler Woods subdivision, which is currently under construction at the corner of True Love and Newcomb. The property is currently vacant. There was one single-family home located on the lot, but that has since been removed. The current zoning for the property is Wake County Residential 30. The applicant has proposed to rezone the property to Residential 8 conditional use. As you can see, the proposed zoning is this Residential 8, which is green with the cross-hatching. They have proposed the following conditions be placed on the zoning to limit the land use to a maximum of 3 detached dwellings. The Town of Cary land use plan designates this site for low-density residential, indicated here in this tan color, as is the other properties in this vicinity. Low-density residential is defined as 1 to 3 dwelling units per acre. The density that's proposed by the applicant is a maximum of 2.6 dwelling units per acre, which is within the allowable range for LDR. According to the Town of Cary GIS maps, the site is not impacted by stream buffers. According to the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Facilities Master Plan, there are no parks or greenways proposed for this particular site. However, you can see partially constructed trail and proposed trails just to the west of the site. According to the Comprehensive Transportation Plan, this site is located at the corner of Newcomb Street, which is located just in front of the property, and True Love Drive. Both of these streets are local streets. This map does indicate the existence of thoroughfares. We've got the closest thoroughfare is Bells Lake Road to the east, and you can see the future 540 just north of the site highlighted here at the top of the slide. And then the closest collector is Oxford Green to the north. There was a neighborhood meeting held here at the Town Hall on August 3rd. There were 4 area residents in attendance. Questions and discussions include just general concern over growth in the area. Some thought that the town of Cary may be planning on annexing certain properties that are in Wake County in this particular area, and we explained that this request, the property owner was requesting voluntary annexation. There was also just general discussion about the number of lots and the proposed use. Before tonight's public hearing, properties within 800 feet of the site were notified. This is a map indicating the properties which received notice of the public hearing, the properties which are highlighted in yellow. So this concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is here to share comments on this rezoning request. Following the public hearing, staff will be available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would invite the applicant forward for their comments.
Good evening. My name is Rick Wyatt. I'm with Zenith Homes, and as Katie said, we've got a piece of property, 1.14 acres, that we're looking to subdivide from one piece of property right now, or one lot right now, into 3 separate lots. We'd like that to be annexed into Cary and rezoned for R8, and that's pretty much it. We're not proposing any new streets or anything, just 3 separate lots, so it wouldn't affect the feeder streets at all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Questions?
One-way conversation right now, maybe later.
Okay. All right, very good.
Thank you. Now's the time for public hearing for rezoning 16 REZ 21, and I would invite our first speaker forward. Anyone to speak at this public hearing? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing, open it up to council members for questions, comments. Okay, seeing none, this will be referred to the Planning and Zoning Board. We'll see it likely in a couple of months or so. Okay, we move to our second public hearing, item 6.2, Eastern Cary Gateway Plan. Mr. Alma will introduce the item. Council will not take action on this comprehensive plan amendment tonight, but instead, we're going to refer to our Planning and Zoning Board for their review. The item will return to council at a future meeting. Mr. Alma.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. This is a town-initiated plan amendment for creating a special planning area that's been looked at as part of Imagine Cary and our work on a new community plan. And this is one of several major destination centers that have been designated in the overall comprehensive plan. And over the past, as you'll see in a minute, few months, we've put a lot of work into focusing on this area because it's an important part of the community, and there are also some development proposals that are waiting in the wings. The area, as you know, runs from the mall on the south up to Chapel Hill Road on the north, between Interstate 40 and Maynard Road. Our reasons for looking at this area in more depth include opportunities for creating a high-intensity center of employment, the ability to mix uses in this area, to create a strong sense of place, to improve the transportation network, including connections and service with transit. A keen interest in the community is assisting with revitalization of the mall, improving the character and look of the entryways as you come into this vicinity primarily from the east, and to take advantage of the venues that we have, the high-quality venues that we have for both swimming and the Wake Med Soccer Park. This is our abbreviated history slide of the work that we've done. So we first shared this notion with you at a work session as part of Imagine Cary back in January, and you can see the various steps that we've taken to get it to this point where we can conduct a public hearing. And I'll turn it over to Ms. King to summarize what's contained in the plan, and then we'll give you a little bit about the schedule. Ms. King advises me that as long as she's been working with us on this project, she's never been in this room. So now we're going to shift and let her do presentations here.
You revealed my secret. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Glad to be here finally in this room. So I'm just going to walk you through the main components in the Eastern Cary Gateway Special Planning Area. The first is the vision. There is a vision statement in the Special Planning Area that sets out the overarching vision for Eastern Cary Gateway. On the slide in front of you, we've highlighted several of the phrases that we feel like are really critical to that vision, that this is a destination and gateway for the community, that it should be a new economic center for the town, that it will be a vibrant center for sports and athletic facilities, and that it be a mixed-use urban environment. The special planning area also sets out 4 policies that provide guidance for the intent for Eastern Cary Gateway and provides more detail that can help guide as development proposals come forward and different infrastructure projects come forward over the course of development and implementation of the special planning area. We also have a map and development category classifications that describe the different sub-areas within Eastern Cary Gateway and the development direction that's associated with those. There are 10 different areas. Shown on this slide, we have the multifamily residential and civic uses area, number 7 on the western side. Employment-based mixed use, number 1, which is in the central portion of Eastern Cary Gateway. And the commercial-based mixed use, which is on the southern portion, number 6, where the current Cary Town Center exists. Transit multifamily is up in the northwest corner. PNC Energy site, the utility site, up in number 9, which is at the kind of central northern end, and a transit-oriented business center in the northeastern quarter, number 10. And then our last remaining ones, we have number 4, the soccer campus, which is in the central area where WakeMed Soccer exists today. Office campus, number 2, which borders I-40 and is kind of the eastern boundary there in the pink. And then number 5, the aquatics and fitness campus, number 5, where the Triangle Aquatic Center exists. For the transportation network, the special planning area calls out several recommendations for transportation improvements, the Trinity Road connection and East Chatham grade separation, extension of Trinity Road across Cary Town Boulevard, and a separate pedestrian and bicyclist bridge, and also a north-south collector road that would extend between Chatham and potentially Cary Town Boulevard. The plan, lastly, includes implementation. There are 4 different areas that are covered in terms of how the town will go about helping to achieve the vision. The first is to conduct additional analysis regarding transportation improvements to provide some more specificity about what those transportation improvements will look like and how they should be folded into the transportation plan. Number 2, to evaluate town involvement in public investments or coordination efforts with major developments. 3, consider changes to regulations and expedited processes to facilitate private investments and development that meets the plan. And 4th, establish mechanisms for collaborative implementation with stakeholders over time. And I'll turn it back over to Jeff.
Just wanted to remind council that as we move forward and you would adopt this plan, it would take the place of the recommendations in the land use component of our current comprehensive plan. So we would be using this to evaluate any development proposals in the future. We have not included, in conjunction with this, any zoning ordinance changes that we may need to be able to help implement the plan. But what we would look at as the rest of the plan comes forward, the remainder of the community plan, we would be looking at associated ordinance changes that we may need for this area. And for instance, we've talked about today our mixed-use overlay extends and covers the mall and the state land property and some of the other properties south of the creek. It doesn't include sort of the upper half of this special planning area. So one implementation step and change in zoning would be we could extend our mixed-use overlay and make it available for the entire 750, 800-acre planning area. And we could do that fairly quickly with text changes to expand the coverage, say, of that district. And we may have some other ripple effects in the ordinance, in the land development ordinance, as we would move forward. Council has asked that due to the interest in the area that we accelerate adoption of this part of the Cary Community Plan. And so we're here tonight. Mayor, you mentioned at a future Planning and Zoning Board meeting, the P&Z Board would consider this. Well, we know the date of that one. That's their meeting next month on October 17th. And then we would be able to return to you on November the 10th for consideration for adoption. We would like to say that throughout this process, as working with stakeholders, getting feedback from the community, there is a lot of interest in seeing this area change and develop and improve, and a lot of excitement about the opportunity that we could create in this part of Cary. So with that, Mayor, we'll turn it back over to you for the public hearing, and we'll be available if you have any questions afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Olma. Now's the time for the public hearing for Eastern Gateway Plan 16, CPA 06, and I would invite our first speaker forward.
Came in late, sorry about that, so I might have missed something. But
could I get you to move to your left?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Andrea Hill, I live in Keener Street, and I just wanted to express that I'd love to see you do as much as you can to save as many big trees and park space, because I was kind of dismayed to see that it looked like park space had been eliminated in the way it was going to be, the zoning was going to be changed. And I know you have plans for Greenway, and I hope you will also keep in mind for the mixed use and the businesses that go in there. People want someplace to go walk during lunch, and they don't want it necessarily in the open because it's hot here in the summer. So I'd like you to consider keeping as many big trees, because I think downtown, all in that area as well, all the bigger trees are kind of getting really old. And so as many as you can keep, the better, I think. So that's my little.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am here just to briefly, my name is Russell Killen. I'm an attorney with Parker Poe. I'm here on behalf of Columbia Development, and I'm just here really to echo something that Mr. Olma said, which is to thank staff for all the hard work that went into this and for their consultants. There was a lot going on over the past 6 months with this, and we know how hard they worked, and we appreciate the opportunity to engage with staff. We appreciate the opportunity to engage with the council members, and we look forward to continuing working with you in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Killen. Next speaker, please. Anyone else for this public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. This will go, and I'm going to repeat what's already been said, go to the Planning and Zoning Board for their review on October 17th, and we'll come back to council on November the 10th. And at that time, we may make a decision. I'm getting the nod, yes. Okay, we now move to our discussion items. Our first discussion item is 6.1, Fiscal Year 2018, Locally Administered Projects Program for the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. And Mr. Boylston of our staff will present this item, and council may take action this evening. Mr. Boylston.
Good evening, council, mayor. You're familiar with the Capital Area MPO LAP program. A portion of that program has to do with transit, and staff is here requesting to submit two projects, an ADA bus stop improvements project, and then funds for the design of a future bus operations and maintenance facility. And we're seeking to move that forward to Campo staff for competitive selection for FTA funding. The two projects, the ADA bus stop improvements, there's approximately 45 locations, and it fills in the gaps between curb and sidewalks. If somebody is on a mobility device, it can be challenging sometimes. And along with that, we would look at opportunities where we have bus stop locations that are frequently used by riders to include installation of concrete pads for expanded boarding platforms. And there's a map provided in the report for those locations. Those are our highest use stops. Project 2 is a bus operations and maintenance facility design. So site acquisition funds have been obligated for the purchase of the site at 106 Tower View Court and plan for purchase agreement, moving that to council in the next few months. The LAP program deadline of October 31st necessitates the need for council consideration for this request. And this bus operation and maintenance design work was determined for the site location that a study was completed in FY12, and it was deemed necessary to accommodate future system growth. It would replace a temporary contractor lease facility subject to sale in the future by the property owner, leaving very few options for the future. And that location you may be familiar with is 1107 Trinity Road. We've also provided a map of the 106 Tower View Court location. And staff recommendation is request approval to make final project submittal for the ADA bus stop improvements, as well as the design of the bus operations and maintenance facility, and determine funding match based on Campo staff feedback and project competitiveness based on final scoring results. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Boylston. Questions for Mr. Boylston from council?
Just a quick question. What is the timeline associated with the bus stop proposal? Is this something you do very quickly? How does that work?
This is, it'd be for FY18 federal fiscal year. It would require going out with an RFP for some design work. We have done that in the past on some of our shelter work, where a consultant would handle some of the right-of-way acquisition, design and layout, and we could possibly work with, in the past we've worked with our Public Works Department on some of the actual concrete work. We may be able to do that. I don't know that at this time.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the staff recommendation for approval of the final project submittal for the bus stops and determine the funding match based on Campo staff feedback.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Boylston. We move to our last discussion item, consideration of closing a portion of right-of-way on Wilson Road. Ms. Cove will present the item. Council may take action. Ms. Cove.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we are asking for your approval for a resolution of intent to schedule a public hearing on October 27th for the closing of a portion of Wilson Road. The site is located near the intersection of Chapel Hill Road and Northwestern Cary Parkway. There are quite a few jurisdictional boundaries that cross through this area. Here's the current configuration of Wilson Road. The proposed closure of the right-of-way is shown there in blue. It's approximately 0.285 acres. And there's a site plan proposed for this area. The development plan will add a street network in a different configuration, and to facilitate the process of that construction, the right-of-way is proposed to be closed. Just an overview again of the area with the proposed right-of-way closure shown in yellow. And again, our recommendation is for you to approve the resolution of intent tonight, just to hold the public hearing on October 27th for this closure. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Ms. Cove?
Can you go back and show us that illustration of the subdivision and explain to us where the yellow portion is in relation to that blue portion? Because it seems like it's the same place.
It is pretty much the same place. Some of the current challenges is Wilson Road is a DOT roadway, and so they would have preferred to have the right-of-way closed before the construction started. So that will be closed. Wilson Road in the future, however, will go up the far side of the development plan. So Wilson Road actually changes the alignment in the future and becomes a collector-type roadway.
Okay, so this subdivision will definitely have egress into the future Wilson Road and the subdivision to the right.
That's correct, when that site develops.
Okay, so we're not losing any connectivity by closing this. Okay.
Other questions? I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
A
Motion
second.
to approve? And there's a
Second.
second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you,
Code.
council.
We entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, pursuant to GS 143-318-11A3, I move that we hold a closed session to consult with attorneys employed by and or retained by the town in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorneys and the town. Among other things, the council expects to receive advice concerning the following lawsuits: the City of Fayetteville and Public Works Commission of the City of Fayetteville versus the North Carolina Environmental Management Commission et al., to prevent the disclosure of information that is made privileged or confidential by GS 143-318-10E.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are in closed session. Convene our council meeting, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
This has been a production of Cary TV. Visit the Town of Cary's website at townofcary.org.